Alright, so sorry my camera cut off because my battery died, which I'm now learning is new to this. So, essentially, yeah, my my family dog died because my dad fed her rawhide unsupervised, and yeah, a metaphor is definitely a hell of a thing. So other things that were happening during this time, up until like maybe middle school, going into high school, my dad worked evening shifts, meaning that, you know, I was at school most of the day. Me and my siblings were at school most of the day. My mom worked. Eventually she worked at a school too. So then during the day I was at school, and then usually there was maybe like an hour or so overlap that my dad was home before he went to work the evening shift. By the time I was like maybe middle school, high school, my dad was able to get enough seniority to switch to a day shift, which meant that there was a huge shift in the household. So things were already bad with my dad's kind of controlling nature, but it definitely got worse after that because there was more time that I was kind of living under that. And I apologize, my throat is kind of getting raspy because the air quality is not that great, so we're dealing with it. Also, I'm probably, you know, energetically, this is not fun to talk about, so I'm doing my best. So yeah, when he was in day shift, that now meant that most of the evening times, he was there with me and my siblings because I think middle school was when he started to pick me and my little brother up from school, and we would have, you know, evening time with him until my mom would get off work. And then I don't remember my older brother, I think he was at a different school at that time, so then maybe he was already in high school, so his schedule was a little bit different, so he came home with my mom. But yeah, I think it meant that he also had the weekends off, so it just meant more time under my dad's supervision. So before, essentially what would happen, there was only a little bit of overlap time, and of course like the weekends, and my mom was kind of laissez-faire. So when my dad was out of the house, she gave us a lot of free reign to like, I mean, no, we still weren't allowed to like go hang out and socialize with people, but we could at least go play out in the backyard. And, you know, she would kind of leave us alone and like let us play games and stuff of that sort, video games. But she kind of was kind of hands off. She wasn't like super controlling, right? She kind of did her own thing, watched her shows and things of that sort. But yeah, that switched when my dad was now home in the evenings. It now became like even worse because there was no reprieve for anyone, right? And there was no real like break. And also at this point, middle school, right, high school, so I have other friends at school. I'm meeting other people, and although I'm not necessarily able to like go hang out with them after school all the time or socialize with them, like they're talking about their lives, right? And so I'm hearing how other people are living and understanding that like, wait, what I'm in is not normal. I'm isolated. Now, I don't really get to see any of their experiences that much because I think I maybe went to like one birthday party in this whole time, and I wasn't allowed to stay over or sleep over, or maybe two birthday parties that I recall, and like wasn't allowed to stay over, or wasn't allowed to stay for very long. And yeah, I maybe had a friend or two that like called once in a blue moon, but again, it was very short because I couldn't talk on the phone unless my dad was there. And you know, you don't really like talking with friends when there's someone basically breathing down your neck and evaluating everything that you're saying and criticizing you, right? So I didn't really like talk to that many people, and as far as I know, like my siblings were kind of the same too. And yeah, so basically went from bad to worse because we didn't really have any time away from him now. And it was at an age where like we now kind of had a collective understanding, me and my siblings, of like, this is not normal. Yeah. And there was basically like, you couldn't show any expression at home. Like if you were happy, it was like, what are you smiling about? Or if you were upset, you know, it was get that smirk off your face. If you were sad, it was like, give you something to be upset about. Like there's basically no emotion that was safe to express at any point. So we basically kind of had to be like robots and just kind of try to keep blank expressions all the time. Otherwise we were constantly being questioned and criticized. And my dad had this thing where he would interrogate you and ask you like the same question over and over and over again until you gave him the answer that he wanted. And so yeah, it was not safe space to be anyone, right? So we kind of all had to be like these like little blank slates and adapt to whatever mood my dad was in, because it was unpredictable. It could be in the morning he was upset and raging and terrorizing the house, and then in the afternoon he'd want you to come and like watch a show with him and be joking. And it's like, dude, Jekyll and Hyde, like which one is it? And my mom was very kind of like withdrawn by this point, right? I think she knew that she wasn't going to be able to financially leave my dad and raise 3 children of her own. I also don't think she thought it would be safe to leave him. Again, this man's already threatened to kill her, and has a reason to act on it if she leaves. So yeah, we're stuck. The only thing I remember us like really doing somewhat regularly during that time was going to church and Sunday school. And I think that was pretty much up until like middle school that we did that regularly, and that kind of fell off because my mom fell out of it, and so me and my brothers didn't really care to go on our own. So that was pretty much the only like social thing, and like we didn't really know any other families in church, so we didn't hang out with anyone from church, socialize with them, or anything of that sort. So yeah, it was pretty isolated. All right, so I'm gonna stop there and fix camera and hopefully get this back together.